Welcome to another session of Coffee with LeadSMART. I'm Peter.
And I'm Scott.
Today we're going to talk about refreshers in the lead world. Scott, where are we going to begin?
Well, refreshers for your license or for your certificate?
Both have to be refreshed? Wow. Let's start with the easy one.
Okay, licenses. That's the easy one, right?
I think so.
Same thing you did the first time. Same fee, same application, same everything. And now you're good at it, by the way.
What he meant to say was, it's good for 5 years. And when it expires, you have to redo it. There's no penalty if you let it expire a year, 2 years, 3 years. It just means that you're not licensed at that time, which means you can't sign a contract. And like he said, if you remember what you did the first time 5 years ago, you already know what to do. It's the same steps. It's not that hard to do.
Perfect.
Do we dare?
Okay, let's talk about training certificates.
Here we go.
Okay, the first time you come to class, you come in for your initial training. 8 hours long, hands-on activities.
And a test.
And an exam. That's good for 5 years. We're not talking
Everywhere.
Everywhere. 5 years for the initial course. Now, what we're talking about right here is your refresher course. Your 5 years is coming up, expiring, and you want to refresh your certificate. So, the good news is you never have to take the initial course again. You can do refreshers for the rest of your life if you follow a few rules.
There's a little bit of a string attached.
Little string attached. All right. So you can do your refresher either live in a classroom or virtually, right? Through a virtual class online. 2 different options. But let's talk about number 1. Are you even eligible for a refresher class? What do you need to be eligible to take a refresher?
Depends where we're talking. If you are a federal state EPA certificate, you must refresh before you expire. No grace period.
So what happens if you expire, then what do you do?
8 hours, baby.
8 hours all over again.
If you are in a state like Massachusetts, Massachusetts is a regulated state, you can expire up to 12 months with your training certificate and still be eligible for a refresher course. It just means for that 12 months that you've expired, you can't work on a lead job, that's all. But it doesn't mean you have to go back for 8 hours unless you go by the 12-month period.
Okay, so we get a 1-year grace period. During the grace period, we no longer have the authority to be a supervisor, but we're still eligible for a refresher course.
Correct. Which means, remember that discussion before when I said you're better than nothing? No, you're back to nothing.
Okay, so we're eligible. We've got a valid supervisor certificate, which means we're eligible for a refresher course. And now we have to decide if we're going to take it live in the classroom or virtual.
Or online. Because an EPA certificate, you can renew on a 4-hour online course. Not in Mass. In Mass, we are allowed to use a virtual method such as Zoom or team meetings because we can record your presence.
So what are the big differences, the pros and cons between virtual or live?
It's the difference between teaching yourself because you're the only one that'll answer your own questions, or coming to a live class with a experienced trainer, as well as being able to commiserate with other people going through it and learning from each other methods that work better than others in real sense of the world. So obviously we really do believe in live. However, we're not ignorant to cost of running a business. We're not ignorant to job sites that are so crunched on performance that there's no way you can pull off for a day of training. So in those situations, why not? Providing your memory retained what you learned 5 years ago. Folks, let's face it. I think the average is that when you sit for 8 hours in a class, you're lucky to retain 50% of what you were shown, no matter how good the trainer is. It gets a lot worse if the trainer really is bad. What happens as 5 years go by and maybe you only did 6 projects in 5 years? What do you think you're going to retain? Do you really think that job 5 years into your license would pass an inspection by the authority and you'd walk away without fines or citations? Or do you really think a refresher makes sense in something this detailed? Folks, I'd recommend doing it live, but I understand there's exceptions and reasons. That's why we offer those other options as well. We let you decide your risk, not us.
So keep in mind with the virtual refreshers and eligibility, you cannot take consecutive virtual refreshers. At least every other one has to be live in the classroom. So when we discuss eligibility, I know everybody wants to be virtual, but if your last one was virtual, that means your next one is in a classroom.
Again, Massachusetts specific. And what I did not mention is that when you do a virtual or online retraining refresher, it is only good for 3 years. Now add the statement that Scott just added, which is accurate. You cannot do a back-to-back virtual or online training. Every other has to be back in a live class, for the very reasons I just expounded on.
So what about our live refreshers? Expiration date?
5 years, opposed to 3 years. Get you up and running. Many people who decide to do other levels of lead training, such as mod risk for contractors, will come to our live refresher in the morning and then take the mod risk in the afternoon and come out with a higher level of authority. Or perhaps piggyback it with another course that we offer for half a day that makes sense. But that's your call. We try to keep it as flexible as possible.
All right.
I got to talk to you about this. Up till now, I've been really nice and PC. I got to ask you something. Are you computer literate where you can actually sit in front of a screen and learn something? That must mean you're under 30 years old. Any folks that have been in the field like we have, you put us in front of a screen that long, but the only thing we're going to remember are funny commercials and probably take a really well-deserved restful nap. Folks, if you're not a disciplined, structured learner who can learn important topics on their own without help, these online options are not very smart for you. I have to say. We've even gone out on a limb here. We've invested in translation devices for people who come to class who may be a second language. Maybe Spanish is their primary native language. And those poor people are suffering through our class trying to catch all the words, but it's tough. We've gone out and invested in this equipment so that our students, free of charge, we can provide this equipment that they can hear our discussions in live time in the native language that they understand so well. You can't do that on a refresher that's virtual or recorded. Take advantage of this, folks. You have hardworking people that English is not their native language, get them to our live class to correct things, to make them truly understand why they're doing this and what methods, why they don't work. Or maybe you like people like me, whose attention span of a gnat. Learning online is not a very good tool for me, unless it's something less important than the hazards of a poison. So it is your choice, but take it from us. Bite the bullet, do the 4 hours, and feel safe that you know what you're doing. And that's about it, guys. We wrap up another one. This is Peter,
And Scott.
wishing you to stay safe, and we hope to see you in class someday.